It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker this morning. And I remember when Blair first approached me about the idea of bringing our speaker in, I thought, who is this Marzulli guy? I never heard of him. But I found out that he was endorsed by some people that I had heard of. And so I've appreciated the opportunity the past few days to get to know him. And you know, when you hear about somebody who's written books and has a radio program, you wonder, what are they really going to be like? Are they going to be stuffy? You know, are they going to be sort of full of themselves, or, you know, or sort of distant and unapproachable? And, but our speaker is just an easy guy to get to know. And particularly the last couple of days, I've really appreciated that, you know, that we're just, even though we just met, we're just like, I'm proud to call him my friend and call him my brother. And I guess the best word to describe him is that he's comfortable. He's comfortable to be with. And I don't know if we'll ever meet again. I hope we do meet this side of glory sometime, but maybe we'll meet on the way up. And he was talking yesterday about the dream that he had of the rapture, and the closest person was about 20 feet away. So maybe that's the way it'll happen someday. But anyways, I'm pleased to introduce him to you. For those of you who've been here Friday night and then all day yesterday, you have been blessed. He has stretched us, he has challenged us, and I guarantee that you cannot have heard this man and leave the same way that you came in, that you will be impacted by what he has to say. And so, LA, come on up here. It's my privilege to.
Good morning, everyone. Start off with an advertisement. Winter is coming. I use them. You should too. Fisherman's friends, eh? All right. It's great to be here. Thank you for that warm introduction. I hope I love October. Thank you for coming. Those of you who were here for Friday and Saturday. I think we covered a lot of ground. We hope to cover some ground today. Can you put up the verse? Gene, thank you. Let me ask you something. And this is not a rhetorical question. You can, answer back. What global, life-changing event are you looking for? What global, life-changing event are you thinking about? Are you hoping in? Are you looking for? True question. Come on, somebody answer. What is that? The coming of Jesus? Correct. Give that lady a rubber duck. Very good. Okay. That's because you're churched and you know the scripture and someone told you and then you walked through it yourself and it became yours. You own it. It's not what your parents said. It's not what the pastor said. It's not what you heard in Sunday school, although you did hear it there. It's now yours and you own it. And you own it, it's yours. And no one can take that from you. Nobody can snatch that from you. That's yours. It's burned in your heart and in your mind. And that's what we walk in. Those of us who have that hope, those of us who believe in His second coming, those of us who are looking expectantly to His second coming, that thing, that hope, that burns in our hearts, that's there. Every morning, well not every morning, but most every morning, it's like, today? Is it today, Lord? Because I long to see Him face to face. How is it that we love Him whom we've never seen? Never seen Him, maybe in a vision. But we love Him because we know what He's done to us. And that promise of the second coming, of His coming, when His blessed feet touch the Mount of Olives, and that baby splits in two, and I believe it's literal. I believe it's absolutely literally. There's an earthquake fault that runs up between that baby. It's primed, ready to go. His feet touch the Mount of Olives, and that puppy splits in half. And by the breath of his coming, he destroys the work of the prince of this world, the fallen one, Satan. He destroys him. That's our blessed hope. And this system, this corrupt, crazy, global, insane system, which is only getting worse. If you were here yesterday and Friday, in fact, let's review some. No, I'm just joking. He puts an end to it. It stops. And the kingdom, the millennial kingdom, the 1,000-year kingdom begins. That's our blessed hope. And we have waited and waited and waited and waited. It's been almost 2,000 years since he left. And what do the scoffers say? Where is the promise of his coming? Where's the promise? Not here yet. Oh, he's never coming back. It's all mythos. Bunch of poppycock. A ruse, a canard, a fairy tale. Darwin pointed the way, right? Baloney. He is our blessed hope. And just because it seems like us that he's delaying, he's waiting so that no one will perish, that the fullness of the Gentiles will come in. The fullness of the Gentiles will come in. That's what he's waiting for. And at some point, my first pastor, he's with the Lord now, he used to say, when the last person that's written in the book of life gives the nod, whoop, up we go. You know, today could be the day. You could be it. You know, who knows? In Luke 21:28, there's a verse, and I'm going to read it in King James, New Living Transition, the NIV, New American Standard, Young's Literal Translation, the Amplified Message. Why do I do that? Because I read a bunch of different translations, because that way I'm making sure that I'm not missing anything in the text. I read as many translations and sometimes as I possibly can to see, just to make sure that nobody's pulling a fast one, taking this word out. And that's what I'm going to do here. So there can be no excuse on your part that you don't get this. Well, maybe it's different in another verse. No. Let's examine this. King James. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. New Living Translation. So when all these things begin to happen, stand straight and look up, for your salvation is near. NIV. When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. New American Standard. But when these things begin to take place, straighten up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Young's Literal Translation. And these things begin to happen, bend yourselves back, lift up your heads, because your redemption doth draw nigh. Amplified. Now when these things begin to occur, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption, your deliverance is drawing near. And my favorite, the Message. And then they'll see the Son of Man welcomed in grand style, a glorious welcome. When all this starts to happen, up on your feet, stand tall with your heads high, help is on the way. Okay, great. That's a message of hope. But what is he talking about? What is he talking about? What is he pointing to when he says, when you see these things begin to pass? What is, and these are the words of Jesus. So if you've got a problem with that, don't come to me. I'm just a delivery guy. Go to the Word yourself and look what Jesus is saying, and argue with him if you can. He's saying something. He's pointing to something when you see these things. What things is he talking about? Are we in the days where the second coming will occur? Why would he set the thing up? Why would he give us the signs of the second coming if he didn't want us to watch and be ready? Why would he do that? Why would it be in there if it didn't have meaning for us? If we weren't supposed to know it, if we weren't supposed to walk in it, if it wasn't, it's like we're supposed to put on the Word, wash our minds with the Word of God. We should be walking in this blessed hope of His coming, and we should know the signs of His coming. We should know them, be able to rattle them off like that, and go ding, 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 ding. Because when we know that, we will not be deceived. What different, we talked about this yesterday, so if you're here, if you were here yesterday, you already know the answer to this. But those of you who weren't here, rhetorical question. What differentiates the Bible from any other? It's not Jesus, because the Muslim scriptures have Allah.
It's the inspired word of God.
What is it?
The inspired word of God.
That's what the Muslims would believe that, Christians would believe that, so it's not the inspired word of God. Good answer, but that's not it. There's one element that differentiates it. If you're here yesterday, you can't answer. What differentiates it?
It's by grace, not earned.
That's good, but it still doesn't. But other religions will say the same. Mormonism would say the same thing. There's one element that differentiates it.
It's alive.
It's what?
Alive.
That's a good answer, but it's not the one I'm looking for. Because other people with their book will say our book's alive too. It's one element that differentiates it. I'll get one more. Take one more answer. Come on. Put on your thinking caps. Get that leather job out of them.
Prophecy.
Who said that? You were here yesterday. Where's the trap door when I need it? Okay, but that's what it is. It's prophecy. There's a thread of prophecy that goes from Genesis to Revelation, talking about future things. What does God tell us himself? I am God and God alone. I alone know the beginning from the end, the end from the beginning, and call it out. I'm paraphrasing here. He's the only one who can do it. Nostradamus comes close. 40%, 50%, 60%. In Old Testament days, he would have been stoned. Why? Because there are 3 million Israelites running around, and depending on the prophet to give the word. If the prophet doesn't give the word from God, 3 million people's lives are on the line. So if you're telling us something that's not true, you get stoned, and rightfully so. Because 3 million people's lives depend on what you're saying to us. That's how it works. So it seems harsh. Stone him, right? It seems really harsh, but it's not harsh. Because if you were a prophet, that was an amazing office in the Old Testament days. And you were called by God, and everything that came out of your mouth had to be 100% correct, otherwise it wasn't from God. And if it wasn't from God, get the stones out. The Lord has prophecy. Jesus gives us tons of prophecy. It's always pointing what's going to happen. The prophecy that we have is this. And when these things begin to happen, come to pass, look up and lift up your heads for your redemption draweth nigh. Jesus is pointing to a time. He's giving us a prophecy. He's telling us these things will come to pass. What things? We'll get to them in a minute. Prophecy is not Nostradamus. Like I said, Nostradamus is 40 to 60%. Blossom Goodchild, who's a modern-day psychic who channels an entity and has prophecies that she's given, they've been wrong. Okay? Edgar Casey, called the sleeping prophet. Presidents went to him. He would lay down on the couch, put himself into a trance, and begin to tell the future. Sometimes he was right. I'm not going to get into how that works, because there are lying spirits, aren't there? And those lying spirits have some information and can see the future further than we can, but they're not all knowing. They're not all knowing like the Most High God. So you can't trust the information. There's only one being in the universe who knows the end from the beginning and the beginning from the end. That is El Elyon, the Most High God. Period. Everybody else is an impostor.